Wait. What do you like about this girl? I mean, there's like a lot of things.
Hello, I'm Liselle Sambury and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And this is the June vlog. It is June now. Took me a moment to remember. It's also kind of wild. Oh, there's Bobo leaving. She's upset that I'm talking. It's kind of wild that it's already like, I guess like we're like basically halfway through the year. I would say that like at the end of June is when I'm like, okay, now we're halfway through the year, but I don't know. I feel like the time is flying. I'm like, when did this happen? What's going on? But anyway, we are in June. And what am I going to be working on this month? So right now I am starting with doing some edits on the Couples Retreat, which is my adult thriller WIP. This is what I am pretty sure will be, I know I said this last time, what I'm pretty sure will be the last edit before we take this book on submission meaning that we will submit it to publishers and hope that one of them wants to purchase it and publish the book and everything works out great. So that's the hope. And so right now I'm doing some edits because my film agent read it and she had some things that she thought could be improved about the manuscript. They are pretty small things, and so I'm basically just doing that right now. So today, did I say what the edits were essentially that there was one part in the book that she just kind of didn't buy, and so she wanted that to be changed, and I did think of a really good solution for it. So I just need to make that change. And then also she wanted the male love interest to be dreamier were the words, but you know, like we want to understand why the main character is fighting so hard for this relationship, and so it would be nice if the male love interest was, you know, like he did a little bit more swoony things, so to speak. So that is what I'm working on. I already made that change about the thing that the agent wasn't buying. There was a whole thing where the main character found a phone and she like saw a video of herself on the phone and then she like gave the phone in, and my film agent was like, wow, she just gave the phone in, and I was like, okay, fair. So I've changed that now, and I already did that, and I've gone through the first 100 pages of the manuscript, basically just reading through and making sure it's consistent, so that that thing that I cut out I referenced throughout the novel, so making sure I'm changing those references to the new thing I did, and then also finding opportunities to add in a bit more about the love interest to kind of build on that. So that's what I've been doing. My plan is to do this in 3 days. So I did 100 pages today. The manuscript is 310 pages, which is like, I'm so happy about the shortness of it. But it's 310 pages, and so I figured I'd do 100 pages every day, just like going through and making those changes. And so I have 2 more days of that to do. And then after that, I'm going to get into plotting the sequel of A Mastery of Monsters, which I'm very excited about. A Mastery of Monsters is my young adult dark academia that is coming out in 2025. And so I'm working on the sequel to it. And so I want to get plotting because I suspect that it's going to take me a full month to do this. There's just like, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of characters. I'm adding more characters. I'm adding a new POV. So the first book in A Mastery of Monsters is single POV. I'm adding a second POV now. So I gotta like do that whole thing. And like, just, you know, get all the bits and pieces together, answer some questions that are unanswered in the first book purposely, and like get into answering them in this new book and all of that. So yeah, I have a lot of work to get done, and that is really what's going to be the bulk of the work that I do this month, and a little bit of July as well, just because I had to take this week to work on the Couples Retreat. It just kind of made things where I have like to work an extra week in July. So that is what's going to be happening, but otherwise I like have a very open schedule for the summer. I believe I will be doing an event in September, but details haven't been worked out yet. But yeah, so I have a pretty open summer, and I'm really excited about getting to do this plotting. I've been doing so much ideating of this sequel, and it's so wild to be like talking about it, getting excited about the sequel, because the first book is like a year from coming out still. But I have so many things about the sequel that I'm really excited about. The competition aspect, this whole series is like very competition based. And so like the competition aspect of like the second book, like I'm so amped about it. Like it's very like, if you've ever watched the anime Naruto, like the Chunin exam arc, like it's very like that. Like that is supposed to be the energy. There's gonna be a lot of one-on-one battles. There's gonna be a lot of drama. There's gonna be romance. I have been making my playlist. For me, doing a Mastery of Monsters, for whatever reason, for this set of books, the playlist has been so huge for me in like getting ideas and getting the vibe and like thinking about fight scenes and that sort of thing. There's so many more fight scenes in these books than there has ever been in any of my books. It's just like, it's very shonen anime coded, and so there's a lot of fight scenes and stuff. And so I've already like been like listening to the playlist like constantly and like thinking about things, and I'm waiting for the second season of Arcane to come out because I was like, I need another Arcane soundtrack because I rely on those songs so much. So yeah, I'm really feeling enthusiastic and excited about doing the sequel, and it's really like pushing me through and like keeping me upbeat. But yeah, so that's what's going to be happening this month. I know I feel like I should address the fact that I look so put together in this clip, and like oftentimes I come on here like a little gremlin and like just whatever. But I have a secret video project which I teased in last month's vlog, and it's still going on. I don't know when I'm going to like announce it. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna drop the video. But again, if you are following me on Instagram and TikTok, you've probably noticed that I'm doing something and this is kind of like what the secret video is coming back to. So I was doing myself up so that I could prep for this. But anyway, that is it for this update, and I will talk to you soon.
I'd probably start with,
I like the way she smiles. She got me staring for a while. Got me staring for a while. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's our conversation. She's my favorite notification. She knows how to dress for special occasions. She got me thinking life could be better. These songs start to feel like love letters. I should tell her now, would I ever? It is what it is, man, whatever. Whatever, yeah, whatever. I'm telling you now, I'm telling you.
Hello, here with an update. So I did finish doing my edits on the couples retreat, and I sent that off to my agent, and she's just looking through everything right now. I don't know if my film agent is also going to look through a second time. We'll see. And we are still trying to figure out that title. Man, that tricky title. It's so just like, I think at this point we do want to do some sort of like phrase. And so I brainstormed a list of like a bunch of phrases. I must have brainstormed, there's probably like 30 titles on that list. And I sent it to my agent, which worked out really well because my agent really liked, she was like, I like everything on this list. She was like, this is like a great brainstorm. So she's gonna send that to my film agent too. I have some favorites, she has some favorites, and so we'll see what my film agent thinks, and then hopefully there will be one title that overlap we all like, and then we can go forward with that. Again, I'm so whatever about titles. Especially for this project, because I never really had like a strong feeling about any title any which way. So yeah, we're still kind of going back and forth on that one. And I'm kind of pending with my agent. We wanted to see, because I know a Mastery of Monsters, the summer launch, which is like the in-house launch that a publisher does to show the book to everyone. And so I'm trying to dig for some information to see how the summer launch went for the book, and like how do people at the publisher respond to it, that sort of thing. But otherwise, not really much going on in that case. Yeah, and so I've started now working on plotting for the second book in A Mastery of Monsters, and so that has been a process. And at this point, I think we will have announced it. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We have confirmed that A Mastery of Monsters will be a trilogy. It should be announced by the time this vlog goes out. And I guess if it's not, I'll cut this out. But yeah, so I'm very, very excited about that. I am just like super looking forward to getting to have my you know, vision for the book come together in the way that I wanted, and that I'm getting to do the 3 books. So that's very, very exciting. I'm super excited about that. And now I'm plotting the 2nd book, and my gosh, there's so much that I have to do. It's just like, it's already a very large cast, and I'm adding more characters into the 2nd book. There's some, you know, background conspiracy things that I gotta like get formulated, and so I've just been like building it out bit by bit. I was stressing to my friend about this. I was like, there's so much I have to do, and she was like, just go bit by bit. And I was like, I know, it's true. I should really focus on that and like not let myself get overwhelmed by like the amount of work that I have to do. So right now, these last couple days, I've been focused on filling in like character sheets. So I've been going through all of the main characters and just kind of filling out that sheet that I do. I'll link down below the video that I have about creating characters, and I use a particular sheet that I fill out, and so I've been filling it out for a lot of characters. Usually I fill this sheet out for like, you know, like 2 or 3, maybe like 4 characters, and now I have to do it for so many because the cast just keeps building and building and building on itself. So yeah, a lot of work. I wasn't very motivated on Monday, but I got it done anyway. Today I'm feeling much better. I was able to do a lot more faster, which is great. I'm still not done for the day. I still have a couple of the new characters to do their sheets for, which I'm really excited about. These new characters in this book. It's so wild because the timelines of publishing are so just like, they're so long, and so I'm like excited about all the things I'm gonna put in the 2nd book, and like the 1st book is still a literal year away from being published. But or not really, because it comes out June 3rd 2025, so you know, we're at, what are we, like June 13th or something like that, so you know, a little bit more than that, a little bit less than a year, but still, like, it's a long ways away for me to be on here. Like, I'm so excited for the new characters in the 2nd book, but I am really excited. It's just like, things are gonna get heavy. Some characters mentioned in the 1st book are gonna show up in the 2nd book. I also have a brand new character, and I'm like so excited about her. I feel like she's gonna be so good. She's just gonna be the best, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like, this is like a really, like, I feel like I worked on like having a lot of action scenes and a lot of like combat scenes in A Mastery of Monsters, certainly more action and combat than I've had in any of my other books. And like this 2nd book is even more battle and combat, and the point is to keep like ratcheting that up. But yeah, I'm just excited. There's gonna be a ton of conflict, but there's also just so many plot lines and things that I have to build in the background while also juggling all these different characters and all of their stories. And I'm just kind of, I'm trying not to let myself get overwhelmed by the amount of work that I'm going to have to do to pull all this off. But yeah, it's going well so far with the character sheets. I've got it all set up in Plotter. I'm using that Plotter series function, which they haven't updated it yet, so you can copy over all the information, but it was actually fine because I was changing the character journeys for all the characters, and so I didn't really actually have a lot of overlapping information. And then I ended up recategorizing the characters, so like some characters are main characters, but now I have multiple POV characters because I'm adding a new POV in this book, and then some characters died and so I had to recategorize them as like deceased, and then some characters became more main characters, and so actually like Plotter kind of forcing you to start from scratch was actually helpful because I did need to do a lot of that. So Plotter is working well for me in terms of using it for this world building aspect, and so I'm just gonna keep keeping on, and I will give you an update the next time I have something else happening.
Now it's whatever, whatever, whatever. I'm telling you now, it's whatever. She keeps me close. In the friend zone? Yeah, but I don't mind it too much though. Why? If my feelings don't show, say it ain't so, man, you should know that I've been saying no. But maybe you're the one I've been looking for so long, so long. She got me thinking life could be better. These songs start to feel like love letters. I should tell her.
Remember when I said I hoped this would be the last edit I was doing on the adult thriller? I was wrong. So I was wrong. That solution that I thought I came up with, that my agent, my literary agent and my film agent were both like, yeah, like that'll work. Once I did it and my literary agent read it, she was like, I don't think it's working. So I basically like had to sit down with myself, because this whole problem started because I was trying to make a catalyst moment in the story, because I decided that the catalyst that I originally had, which was like basically her partner presenting an ultimatum, like either we fix our relationship at this resort or we're breaking up. And then I realized that wasn't a good catalyst because it didn't change anything for her from the Act 1 world to the Act 2 world. Because the Act 1 world, she wanted to fix the relationship, and then she'd come into the Act 2 world, you're still trying to fix the relationship. It's just now you know there's an ultimatum. It wasn't really functioning the way, to me, like a catalyst moment should, or what else would you call it? I can't remember the name. But anyway, it wasn't functioning the way it should. So I was like, okay, I gotta like, and I kept trying to put things in there. And then finally, I had to sit down with myself after I got this feedback from my agent. And I was like, stop trying to smush this into the framework that you usually use for your books. And I had a moment with myself, and I realized, I was like, the catalyst is her coming to the resort in the first place. And I was like, yes, that is actually right. Because really, the Act 1 world is that she's kind of dissatisfied with her relationship. She's struggling with her job. Things are not really going the way she wants. And the big, huge, radical decision thing that happens is coming to this resort, this like revolutionary couples resort that is supposed to be different. And that moment happens in the well, not the first chapter. There's like a little cold opening. So really that moment happens in the second chapter. And so it's already happened. And so what I was doing is I was trying to like really make like a second catalyst. And I think that's why it wasn't working. And so I talked to my agent and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pull out trying to force any sort of catalyst later on the line, with the understanding that the catalyst actually happens in that second chapter early. And I think this was why it was really helpful to read all those adult thriller books that I did in that vlog I did. If you haven't seen it, I will link it down below. I did a writing vlog where I read a bunch of thrillers. I read like, I think like 12 thrillers to help me kind of with researching and working on editing this story. And I read I'm not sure if I read them all in that vlog or if I read it a little bit after, but anyway, I read 2 of Sherry Lapinia's books. I read, I think it's called Everyone Here is Lying, and I read The Couple Next Door. And the way that she does it is her catalyst happens in the first chapter. So right off the bat, the catalyst happens, and then the rest of the book is like in response, in reaction to that catalyst. And I remember thinking, oh, I'd love to like do that one day. So it's so funny that I like accidentally did it in this case, but I think that was really the issue that I was coming up against and why I kept having to fix that like catalyst moment. And it's interesting too, because my like both agents kind of were like, I wish that there was a little bit more of an idyllic time in the resort before things start kind of like going wrong. And this helps create that, the fact of like pulling away, trying to make this catalyst or dramatic thing happen in that section does really help with that. So essentially I just ended up pulling out what I was trying to do, with the understanding that actually the catalyst of the story is them coming to the resort in the first place. Which I like. And it's just very interesting. I think it's just like I'm so set in my ways with the way I structure my novels and the way I like to do that. And so it is a little bit scary in some ways to have diverged from that. But anyway, I made those edits one day, and the next day I once again read the whole book in one day, because it is possible to read it in one day. It's like a good length thriller. It's 300 pages. It's 300 pages in Microsoft Word, and so it's something that I can read in a day. It does take me all day. So it took me all day Friday to read through it, but I really could feel that it was better for this change. I think I was so worried about there not being enough things in the beginning to propel the reader forward, but I think now that I have the cold open, I think that really helps with a lot of that, and so I didn't need that extra catalyst thing, which was actually an extra catalyst. So yeah, just a lot of stuff. But I did those edits. I've sent it out to my agent. Hopefully this will be the real last edit before submission, but we'll see. It is, it's a process, and the editing always makes it better, and so I'm always happy to do it. I was like, I know we're not in any real rush, but I think part of me does want to get it out in June, just because, summer Fridays kick in. I don't know, I guess I feel like once July hits, people are like too in summer mode. You have to like get them in June. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But yeah, I just like, after going through it so many times, I'm like, I just want to yeet it out there. But, it takes the time it takes. But thankfully, me and my agent, and both agents, we have settled, I believe, on a title, which is good. I'm not going to say it because I just like, now with this book, I'm like, there's been too many title things. But at the very least, we've chosen a title to go on submission with. So that's good. And yeah, I guess we'll see. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed that it's actually ready to go on submission. That's number one. And then fingers crossed again that somebody buys it. And then when the announcement comes out, you'll be surprised by whatever the title is that you get to see. So yeah, but that's the somewhat lengthy update for the couples retreat. And then I've continued plotting for the second Mastery of Monsters book. And I did have to take a little bit of a pause on it, because when I had to read through the whole adult thriller in a day, I was just like too tired to do anything else. So I had to stretch out the time a little bit, and I did stretch out the time more. I gave myself another week to work on plotting, because I felt like I was like feeling pressured to like do too much in a day, and I really am starting this so early to give myself a lot of time. So I have the time to take more time plotting, and so I'd rather take the time. But so far things are going well. I'm working on the Save the Cat beats and that sort of thing. I'm also working on figuring out how to like make the two point of views interact, and like try to meld that together just so that it feels like the POVs are going to be distinct, but I do want to feel like there's a sort of thorough line. And I want to make sure, because one POV is lesser, it's like one POV is basically a quarter of the book, and then the dominant POV, which is August, the main character, is the rest of the book, with the idea that the third book, where I add yet another POV, those two POVs will make up half the book, and then August POV will make up the other half of the book. These are the plans that I'm creating in advance, because I'm now working on a trilogy, and so I'm thinking about these things. I've been thinking about them in tandem, and I don't know if I said, but that's why I had to do that rough plotting that I did the month before, because I needed to roughly plot out both books 2 and 3 to understand what I was going to be putting in book 2, and so that's why I had to do the rough plotting before I started this plotting, so that I can know what I was going to do in the trilogy as a whole, very high level. But of course I couldn't say that yet. So that I couldn't say why I was like doing a rough plotting before starting my actual plotting, but that's why. Anyway, but I'm still working on it. It's coming along. It's gonna be a process. It's gonna be long. It's a lot of stuff, but I am feeling excited. I've had like some scenes that have been percolating in my mind that I'm getting really hyped up about. And I'm just, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but the plotting is going slow, and that's okay because it's just, it is a lot for me to think about and a lot for me to figure out. It's just like there's so much in this book, and I think that's why when I first wrote A Mastery of Monsters and I wrote that first draft, I was like, this is bad. I was like, I don't know, there's like too much. And I figured it out. It all worked out. Everything is fine now. But now I'm in the second book and I'm like, I need to figure out a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to figure out. So that's where I'm at with that. But we persist. And so, yeah, I'll let you know later on how things are going.
Can we just take control? We're overcomplicating how love flows. High low shouldn't be this stock broke, shouldn't be this hard to tell you I want more. I wanna see that you want me, snatch me.
I feel like I have not been a very good vlogger this week, but I also feel like I haven't been the most on the ball, you know, author this week. So it kind of just, it kind of lines up and it makes sense. Yeah, I feel like the summer, the summer malaise has like gotten to me, in that I don't really want to do stuff. I had this very regimented schedule for working on the second book in the A Mastery of Monsters series, which very excitedly I got to finally announce that publicly yesterday. Of course you're watching this vlog in the future and I already told you about it earlier, but I got to officially announce today, which was exciting. But yeah, so second book in the series, and I had this very, you know, intense checklist the way I normally do my plotting, and I just didn't want to follow it because I just kind of don't want to do anything. So I've been doing kind of like the smallest amount of work I can get away with. I suspect that I'm going to be plotting this for 2 months, not for any other reason than I just don't have a great amount of motivation to do a lot per month. I also think because I'm aware that I have so much time because my book got pushed to summer. A Mastery of Monsters is like basically done. I just have past pages left. And so my deadline for the first draft of the second book in the series, when they did the announcement, they spoiled the title of the third book, which I don't know if it's gonna stay. Hopefully it'll stay. But so I was like, the title for the second book is all I've got secret, so I'm keeping it that way. But anyway, so yeah, I just like, I have so much time. My deadline for that first draft is not until January of 2025, and it's June now, and I'm starting plotting, knowing that it will take me at a maximum 2 months to draft the book. I also wanted to give myself a couple months to what is the word I'm looking for? Oh, to do my self-edit on the book, because I don't like to actually send my real first drafts in. I want to send a second draft in. And so I just like, I can, if I would like to, take all of June and July to plot this book. There's not really any rush. I have a lot of time. And so I feel like I just want to take the full amount of time. Yeah, because I'm just like, the summer energy is like, I just want to lay around and do nothing. And that's what I would like to do with my life. Today, I'm not even going to work on plotting because I truly just don't feel like it. So I'm giving myself some grace, some space. I have the time and I don't need to get myself into a panic trying to do things when I could take it easy for once. Like I tend to be a very intense person. And I tend to have like a very sort of high productivity level, and I just want to take it easy. I just want to take it easy. So that's where I'm at. Today I did do some writing stuff though, because my agent got back to me with the latest edits of the couples retreat, and so they were very, very small, thankfully. And so I did those literally in like an hour. Not even an hour, it's probably more like 45 minutes. But I did those, I double triple checked them, they were very small changes, and I sent that off to her. And so she's gonna also share that with my film agent, and we are aiming to get the book on submission for that week of July 8th. So my agent said she's still having like phone calls with editors and kind of finalizing her submission list. But also apparently, again, I'm Canadian, so I don't know this stuff. There's like the July 4th like holiday. Apparently people tend to take lots of time off during that time, which I didn't realize. We have in Canada, we have Canada Day, which is July 1st, which I no longer celebrate due to the nature of colonization. It's a whole thing. But it's a day off, so it's a day off. But yeah, I didn't know July 4th that people like make it a big thing. And so my agent wanted to hold off until after that holiday, just so that we get people fresh, as opposed to like sending the manuscript to them and then they request it and then they go on vacation and they forget about it. You know what I mean? So trying to get it in the best situation. So it's seeming like, fingers crossed, unless my film agent like sees something glaringly big that she's like, we gotta fix this. It seems like we will get to go on submission in July, which I'm excited about. I'm very impatient to get it on. I'm at the point now, like before I was like, it takes the time it takes, we're not in a rush, gotta make this the best it could be. Now I'm like, I just want to yeet that sucker out. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to throw it on sub and just let it be what it's gonna be, like let it rock. Like I just I'm done now. I'm ready. So that's where I'm at. So yeah, the stage in which I'm at, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything except some reading. I have been reading The Chain. The author name isn't coming to me right now, but I've been reading The Chain. It's a thriller. It's got a really cool concept about basically like somebody kidnaps your child and then you have to go and kidnap another child in order for your child to be released. And so then it creates this chain of people like kidnapping other people's children. It's wild. But I've been having a great time reading that. I'm almost done. I'm like 80% through. So I've been having a great time reading that. And then I wanted to get on to reading some thrillers by Black authors that are new releases that I've been wanting to get to. So I've really been wanting to get to the new Alyssa Cole. Is it called One of Us Knows? Yeah, that one. And then I also want to get to Nicola Yoon's adult thriller debut, One of Our Kind. That one just came out, and I saw that it's available on Spotify Premium to listen to the audio. Spotify Premium with the audiobooks, when they first launched, I admit they didn't have a lot of stuff. And I was like, whatever, wasted my time. Now they have a ton of books and like very new releases, like the new Ruth Ware popped on there like the day that book came out. And like usually Everand/Scribd is where I would go for like very new releases. Like they pop on there, but they haven't been popping up as often, but they were all over Spotify. So I know the limit about the Spotify audiobooks is I think you can only listen to like 10 hours a month. So I'll still be using Everand, I'll still be using Libby for my audiobooks, and also Libra FM I also use for my audiobooks. I'll still be using all of those just because, but it's nice to have like an option. Like if I want to get like to one really new release each month, like I want to read it the day it comes out, I can hop on Spotify Premium and I can listen to it. This is starting to sound sponsored and it really isn't. I just happened to notice it. So yeah, if you have a Spotify premium account and you haven't checked out the audiobooks, I would check them out because yeah, it seemed to suck in the beginning, but now it's really good. So that's great. But yeah, this is kind of what I am feeling, what I'm up to. I'm just gonna take the rest of the day off and just whatever, read my audiobooks, chill, play some games on my Switch. I've really been liking that Cult of the Lamb game, which I got Lindsay Puckett, who's another Authortuber. I got her into playing it, and she realized that there's a setting where you can make it so that you have like unlimited hearts so you don't die, because I really like the cozy aspects of that game, like the building your little community, and what I hate about it is the fighting. Having to do fighting. This is why I play cozy games, because I don't want to fight. I'm not good at it, and so like I die and then it's really upsetting, but I didn't realize it had that setting, so now I won't die. So now I'm like more gung-ho to play it, because I was kind of avoiding it because I was like, ugh, I don't want to do fighting stuff. I've been playing House Flipper. I really want House Flipper 2, but I think it's only for PC right now. They haven't put it onto Switch. House Flipper 2 just has better graphics, but I'm really enjoying House Flipper 1. You just flip houses. It's like about as mundane as it sounds, but I really like those sorts of things. But yeah, that's kind of just what I'm gonna do. I apologize in advance if this vlog is very like bland, but I just, the motivation to work is just like on a steep decline, just like plummeting. And so that's why I just got to take this day off, make a little 3-day weekend for myself, and hopefully next week I will be a little bit more gung-ho. So far, what I've done for plotting for a Mastery of Monsters, I've done all my character sheets. I have done all the Save the Cat beats for both the main POV, which is August, and the mystery second POV, which is gonna make up a quarter of the book. So I've done both Save the Cat beats for that, and I've planned out two subplots actually. I planned out the 2 subplots that apply to that other POV. I decided to only do 2 subplots just for them, just to like, I'm trying to keep it a reasonable amount. Like when I do a first draft, I really can't get beyond 100,000, because I know that when me and my editor get together, we add words, and I just predict that we will add 20 to 30 to 50,000 words once we get together in the mix. And so I try to keep my first drafts to 100,000. So I'm trying to really make sure I'm kind of like slimming down those subplots a little bit. So I did that, and I worked on the competition mechanics. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I've been doing a whole big tournament bracket, because the second book they're all competition books. So there's a competition in A Mastery of Monsters, there's a competition in the second book, there's a competition in the third book. They're all gonna have competitions because that's the sort of thing I like, and they're all gonna take place on campus, because I like, if I say it's dark academia, we're gonna stay on the campus. It's just like the way I am. And so this second book, the tournaments, the competitions are one-on-ones, and so I decided to make a tournament bracket, and so I had to learn about tournaments. I decided on like a double elimination bracket. That means you have to lose twice to be eliminated, and I wanted to do this just because it like, for the feasibility of the story, I just think it's like more fun and like dramatic if the main character can lose at least one time. If they have to win every battle, it's a little bit, I don't know, to me it's a little bit one note, because then they can only win. And so I like doing the double elimination. But so I put together this huge bracket of like 50 like miscellaneous characters, including also the main characters, and I ran through literally the whole bracket, every game, who's winning, who's losing, and I did that full thing so that I could fully know how the competition is going to go, know who's going to go up against who in a way that logistically makes sense, the way like a real tournament would be put through. So I did all of that. So you know, I have done some stuff. It's not like I've done nothing. It's just we are going at a slower pace than I might usually do. I have abandoned my checklist. This is vibes now. I'm just kind of like going through things as I choose. So probably what I'll do next week is I'll go back to those subplots. I like to get all my subplots pretty much like ironed out, and then I will probably start planning chapters very roughly, just to like get a rough idea of chapters, and then I'll work more on the character arcs and then the twists and the mysteries and all of that stuff, and it'll come together. Right now it feels very all over the place, but I know that that is just how my plotting goes, and I know that it will eventually, everything will come together and it'll make sense, it'll be good. It's just gonna take longer, so I'm probably gonna be doing this all the way until the end of July. I also am doing some some judging things in the background. I can't really get into the details of it, but I'm doing those, so I'm also you know, reading through some samples and that sort of thing. So I'm doing that in the background as well. So I think it'll just be good for me to have this more lax you know, this more lax schedule for myself, as long as I know that I'm gonna actually get it done. Because if I get to July and I find that I like haven't done enough, like I'm gonna have to crack down on myself and things will just be harder, and that's just the way it's gonna be. But I think this method will actually work for me. This month did not really go to plan. I feel like I started out the month with like a very dedicated plan for how I was going to get everything plotted, day by day, like the way that I usually schedule myself out to get work done. And then I found myself actually trying to do the work, and then things became very different. And that's how my 1 month of plotting has now become 2 months of plotting. And how much have I gotten done? I've actually, I feel like I've gotten a fair amount done in like a little bit of a haphazard way. Yeah. And it was really just for the purposes of like the fact that I don't have a lot of motivation right now, apparently. And I think it's just the summer. I just don't really want to do anything. And so it's been a little bit of an extra push for myself to make sure I'm actually getting things done. But I have just been doing a little bit each day and just trying to make that work as best as possible. So what have I gotten done for sequel planning? So I have all the Save the Cat beats done. I have roughly planned out all of the chapters, in that like some chapters are just say training and some say something with this character or something with that character. Training. This is a tournament day. So that's what I mean by roughly planning out chapters. And I have the first 10 chapters better planned, as in, this is what's going to happen in this chapter. This is what's going to happen in this chapter. I've decided on all of the subplots, and I think that's going to be all of the subplots. Sometimes I realize that I have a thread in the story that is probably actually technically a subplot, and so then I like make it a subplot and I go forward with that. I also have those very roughly planned out, in that again it's like finds some evidence of blank. So yeah, a very rough planning. So I'm hoping that, well, in July I have to finish plotting. I really do have to. Like I cannot just be casual about it. I really do actually have to finish plotting in July. So I need to like really get down into finishing things up. I let myself take it easy this month, and next month I need to be a little bit more dedicated to making sure I'm getting a lot of stuff done. So that's my plan for July. And yeah, otherwise I did do my little headshot photography for my new author headshot. I thought maybe would have like results to show you, but I haven't gotten the photos back yet, which is fine. So that will be, I guess, well, you'll see it on Instagram if you follow me on Instagram at Liselle Sambury. You'll see it there first, but otherwise I will show you in the July vlog there. But yeah, this has been like a bit of a lackadaisical month. I feel like I didn't do anything. It's like, weirdly, I felt like the month just kind of passed me by. You know, I record like my like monthly wins and stuff like that in June, and I like looked back at June and there was like nothing, which I did put in getting my author photos done because I actually have been preparing for those for a while. So I'm glad I was able to finally get that done. So I consider it a win. But yeah, it just kind of feels like a month that just passed by. I don't know where it went. It was just gone suddenly. And yeah, just like not a lot of motivation this month, not a lot of drive this month. But in July, I kind of need to kick myself in the butt, so to speak, and I have to get things done. So I will be, yeah, making efforts to be more dedicated in July. I will remake my schedule for myself so that I know that I'm actually going to get everything done that I need to get done, because I've already planned out that I need to get drafting. Mind you, even when I was planning out how long I needed for drafting, within like a 2-month scope, it was going a little bit beyond 2 months. And so now I'm thinking that maybe I just need to draft 2 chapters a day. Usually I draft 1 chapter a day, and with each chapter being kind of like 2,300 to 2,500 words. And I do 1 a day. But I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of like, I would like to get this done in a better fashion. Like I want to get it done within the 2 months. So I don't know if I'm gonna do 2 chapters a day for the first little bit and then taper off into 1 chapter a day, or just do 2 chapters a day the whole time. I don't know. We will see what will happen, but that is now far flung in the future. I just need to concentrate on actually planning out the book. So I'm focusing on that. And yeah, that's kind of everything that's going on this month. There was, again, not really a ton happening. But yeah, so looking forward to July. I'm now going to be going to Toronto in July for a little bit. My family wanted to do a get together, so I purchased a ticket, and so I'll be off to Toronto for a little bit to help spice up the July vlog. And yeah, that's kind of it for this month. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!